All right, what's up, y'all? Harley here. This is my first time really collaborating with Mitsu Times. Thank you, Josh, for the opportunity. I could think of no guest I wanted to do it first with other than Ben Hochman. The dude has had a huge impact on my life recently. We teamed up by getting my roll cage done here. I can't wait to take you into the shop, talk about his car, and then ultimately we're gonna switch over and at the end, talk about the person behind the wheel. That's really what's important to me. You'll know the difference because when it's car spec time, I'm gonna be in professional mode, okay? And then when it's not, you'll have to see my outfit then. Ben's gonna love it because he loves it when I take my shoes off. There's your hint, y'all. So stay tuned. I'm about to go in here, show you guys around the shop. It's literally the cleanest shop I've ever been in. I can't wait to take y'all on this ride. I keep telling Chad, the community's either gonna get the energy it needs or it's gonna get real awkward. And he's like, why not both? I said, sounds like my kind of party, brother. So let's jump in. So,
I'm not surprised.
so this is my first time at Mitsu Times doing a car driver spot. Oh, see,
Vlog.
I was gonna say spot.
Take
Action.
two.
What's up, y'all? Harley here. I'm setting with none other than Ben Hochman, owner and operator of Hochman Fabrication and Speed, the pilot of the jet known as Black Zenith, and he has volunteered his time to answer some questions for y'all today on the driver spotlight. Are you ready for round one?
Yeah, happy to be here.
How did you end up in this platform?
Well, believe it or not, I was a Subaru guy before this, and
Sorry.
raced Subarus for a really long time back in Colorado. Brought the Subaru back here, and long story short, ended up hitting the wall first time out with it over at Great Lakes Dragway. So ended up selling that literally a day or two after that in its current condition, because I was sort of a lost soul at that point. All of my resources and sponsors were still back in Colorado, and there really wasn't, what I considered a huge feature for me in that platform. Okay. So ended up selling it and stumbled upon this one about 6 months later, and knew from the moment I crossed it that I had to have it.
Now you're a Mitsubishi guy.
Yep, I joined the dark side a long time ago.
Is there a car you've owned that you wish you still had?
No, not really. I mean, knowing what I know now, I think it was a blessing in disguise what happened with the Subaru, and I have a business that's now been created off of some of my past experience and needs with this platform. Okay. So I think I'm pretty happy with where I'm at as far as cars that I've played with. As I'm answering this question, I'm thinking back to my other situation, which is my truck. I bought that recently in order to be able to tow the trailer. But I had to sell my Lexus IS 350 in order to get that truck. So I guess I wish that I still had that, but I need the truck now, so I had to let it go.
So it makes sense, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Was this car stock when you got it?
It wasn't completely stock. It was, it had some bolt-ons on it. It had an SAFC controller, a Defi boost gauge.
Old school.
And an electronic boost control solenoid, or an electronic boost controller.
So not a ton.
So, you know, for our standards these days, it was pretty much stock.
Fair enough. And what were your original goals with the car?
Originally,
yeah,
I really, you know, the whole hitting the wall in the Subaru thing was something that affected me at the time. You know,
of course.
It was, I wasn't as committed to this lifestyle as I am now, and I hadn't accepted the fact that that was a possibility in reality, that something like that could happen. So it was still like I had PTSD.
Okay.
So initially when I bought the car, I was only planning on just kind of doing some bolt-ons and driving it and having some fun with it.
I think you definitely snowballed.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately ended up becoming a track car again. So you can, there's no denying who I am and what I'm all about.
You're all in?
Yeah.
I like that about you though. Ooh, this is one I'm curious about. How did you pick the name Black Zenith?
So originally the car, when I tried to come up with a name with it, it was named Black Bullet. And I'm kind of an outcast in my family when it comes to being a car guy. Nobody else in my family's a car guy. Like my grandfather, who passed away many years ago, used to work in some of the assembly lines in the industry, used to work for Ford Motor Company. But there's really nobody that took like a real heavy interest in this sort of stuff. Not that my parents or my family wasn't like supportive, but my father's mother, her name was Zena. She was one that used to always take a huge interest and had this level of excitement about this stuff when I would tell her about it that I had. So when she eventually passed away, I ended up changing the name from Black Bullet to the Black Zenith. In honor of her.
Now it makes sense. I've always wondered that. Ooh, what are some big changes you got coming up for 2024? It looks like a lot from my perspective.
So for this year, we're making a couple of changes. We previously were running on a 73 millimeter Apex, and that was primarily to be racing in a certain class, Wild Street, over at World Cup Finals, import versus domestic. But after experiencing that event personally, along with you, we learned pretty quickly that it's not worth trying to go with a limited turbo size and race in those classes. It's much better to just join the stick shift club and go with, you know, whatever big turbo I can actually manage and suits me. So I'm moving up to the 86 millimeter, and that's one of the biggest changes that we're making this year. Aside from that, I'm in the process of tearing my hair out, trying to put this new Carbonetics 3-piece front end. It requires quite a bit of customization to the front end if you want that setup to be as quickly removable and serviceable as we like things, but there's a couple other small things that we're doing with suspension and changing over to some methanol fuel, which most of you probably are already aware about, because when we were at World Cup Finals, we were running into limitations on what E85 was able to do. So we started making that transition at the end of last year already. That's pretty much the main stuff that's happening for the season.
Sounds like a lot to me. Better you than me. Ooh, what events do you plan on going to in 2024, if you can?
Well, in 2024, right now, I'm just focused on trying to get the car back together, because believe it or not, there's quite a bit of changes involved with this 3-piece front end. I'm waiting on a couple of things at the moment that are holding up my timeline. So
it's all tentative?
It's really a focus on trying to get the car back together. We'll definitely be at the shootout, that's a given, and hopefully some other events. But at this point, I'm thinking probably May or June by the time we get this thing running again.
Okay. Do you have any ET goals coming into the season? Actually, I'll say it differently, because EvoSpec, Dan, wanted to know, how deep in the sevens do you plan on going?
Well, you know, to be humble about it, just a little faster, you know, just moving and progressing the needle, you know, forward is really the ultimate goal. So anything faster than we've already gone is clearly
better,
what we're shooting for. If you want me to put a target on it, I think it goes without saying that we're trying to shoot for the world record. in this platform, there's there's only one thing that you can do in order to kind of claim all bragging rights out there, and that would be world record status for the platform. We're pretty close. I know there's a couple other guys that are continuing to not only push it forward, but shoot for it. So the time is now in order to try and at least establish achieving that level of accomplishment. So that's ultimately the goal, is to break the world record. At this point it's 7.50. Our best time is 7.70. And I know that needle's already going to be probably pushed forward by the time the car hits the track again anyway. So that's what we're trying to do.
I'll be there ready to pop some bottles with you, celebrating that thing. I can't wait, man. So what keeps you motivated to keep pushing this car? We've talked about it comes with trials and tribulations. So the record?
It's we haven't come this far to go this far, right?
Ooh,
so
I love that.
Trying to at least achieve the world record is what's motivating me at this point. We'll see what happens.
Okay. If you did it all over again, would you choose the same car?
Yeah, I think I would. This was a great platform to get into, and it's treated us well, both from the community standpoint and also from a competition standpoint. I think we've done well. So I wouldn't change it.
I love that. Any advice to anybody getting into cars?
Absolutely. Follow your heart on what interests you before leaping into a platform. Do some research, try and understand, and learn about that platform before you jump into it, so that you have an educated understanding of what you're getting into. And if you're trying to make changes on it in the near future, likewise do the research on parts, because if you're experienced in the aftermarket like I am, you'll know that not all parts are created equal, even though they may be created for the same make and model. Know what brands are making quality parts, and when it's necessary to come to a specialist like myself to just have it made custom.
And just speaking from my point of view, it'd be way easier to do that than trying to puzzle a bunch of random stuff that don't fit together.
Yes and no. I mean, there's a balance to everything.
Right.
Part of my role for a lot of my customers is being a trusted advisor first, and then executing with the skill set that we have in-house that's unique. And if there's somebody that manufactures a product already, they do a good job at it at a good price, then it'd be foolish to try and recreate the wheel, as they say. So that's where you want to always fall back on your trusted advisors and resources like myself, Boost in Performance, any of the other brands that are trusted in the space, to make sure that you do it right the first time and make educated decisions along the way.
So you just made sense of why I come to you for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go into this is my one question, and I hope that I can get a good reaction from you, because you fired me up on the way to World Cup with this. Explain to me what you feel when you're going down the drag strip, when you're shifting gears. What does Ben Hochman do when he's in this car?
A lot of it's more, I guess there's some feeling that goes on in this process, but most of that is left at the starting line. There's not a lot of feel going on other than trying to sense, sights and sounds, RPMs, seeing where I need to shift at, and listening. What the motor's doing tells me a lot about what's going on in the situation. And also focusing on trying to stay straight, because at this level, the car tends to do a little bit more than 13, 20 feet down the track. So there's really not a lot of opportunity to feel a lot as much as there is focus on what's happening. But as soon as you pull the chute and you're slowing down under control, this level of exhilaration comes over you that is indescribable. Part of that is also the anticipation of knowing what you want after you're done.
Oh, the time slip, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the moments after you're out of the car and you're sort of collecting yourself and getting the parachute out of the way of whoever else may be coming behind you, there's this level of anticipation and excitement that, especially if it feels like it's a good pass, it's just, there's all these things that you experience, from excitement of getting down the track, how good it feels, and then anticipating the number. And if it's a good number, it's just like this everlasting sweetness. It's hard to describe.
I'm gonna elaborate a little bit because I asked him what it felt like on a different time. We were talking about shifting gears. How do you shift gears? Because we were getting fired. You fired me up that day. I wish we could have caught that on camera because the way you shift gears from fire me up. That makes me want to go race. If I watch any in-car footage,
Yeah.
I love it, man. You get into it and you're all about it.
Banging gears is why we're still in the manual transmission space, right? So that's part of what makes this whole experience exciting.
Yeah.
Is still rolling gears while going down the track. So I don't know. It's just kind of one of the things that I put a lot of time into. When my friends were in college and they were all drinking and going out and partying, or they were, you know, doing things during the weekends, during the day, I was out at the racetrack. After work or school, I was going to test and tune and putting in the seat time. So, I mean, I've got boxes full of time slips from driving the Subaru up at Vandenberg Speedway. Sadly, a track that's no longer around.
That's
But,
awesome.
I mean, that's where I grew up when it comes to racing.
Okay. Where can folks find you on social media?
They can find me on Facebook. They can find us on YouTube and Instagram. We do have a Twitter account, or we do have a TikTok account, but I don't really post that much to it.
Okay.
So that's typically where you'll find us.
Okay. We'll probably post links down below. You guys can go follow them there. Hopefully get some work done. Is there anybody you'd like to shout out right now?
Shout out to my wife, Marnie.
Hey, Marnie.
She's my rock, and without her, none of this would be possible. So appreciate her and all she does to support me. Love you.
Awesome. Okay. That's the car specs. That's the plans for 2024. Now's the part where I get excited. Ben's least favorite thing about me. Kicking off my shoes, taking off my business tie, and we're going to head over to the part where we get to know Ben Hochman himself. You got to head over to Barn Built Dreams to do that. Appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.